open this.
All right, Ms. Alstott?
Present.
Mr. Ashcraft? Here. Ms. Rayson?
Here.
Mr. Simmons? Present. Ms. Amy Smith?
Here.
Ms. B. Smith? Here. Mr. Stefanski?
Here.
Mr. Tighe?
Here.
And Ms. Turner?
Here.
All right, 9, 10, 9.
All right, we're going to start with our, presentations.
Yes. Okay. So, we are here to review the bid results and a little bit of the plan for construction for Paul W. Carlton's preschool expansion, expecting to open for September of 2026. So, on the screen right now, we're looking at the bid tabulation results from this past Wednesday. Just wanted to share that with you, which I included that in your packet too. So you can see that the bids came in. They were overall pretty close together, which is always good to see that, you know, the market has brought out like a pretty fair bidding process for everyone. And the lowest responsible bidder was found to be DeAndrea, and that was reviewed both by our architect, the district architect, and Comegna Law, our solicitor. So we have double check that and make sure everyone's documentation is in order, that this should not be challenged, and we can go ahead with the recommendation to approve that tonight. So that is on your agenda. And then I wanted to show you the site plan and the classrooms, just so you have a good sense. We've seen this before, but now that this is the actual bidded document, I wanted to show you that again and walk you through it. So I'm gonna blow this up as best I can. All right. So you're looking at the Smith Ave view basically here, and looking into the back of Paul W. Carlton. You can kind of see the old outline of the old building, and then you see how this being the most recent addition to Carlton, this piece is now being locked into there like a puzzle piece, okay, and stretching back. We have a driveway added in here for drop-off or parent pickup. That'll be for them, a little bit of parking for staff. We have a lot of fencing around here that leads to a playground, so all that is behind fencing. And then there's a walkway then to get out of that end over to the gym of the main part of the building, so that they're still able to access that easily close by. So that's how it fits onto the site plan. And then it's a big PDF. Okay, so again, this is 12 classrooms. This would be that front off of the parent pickup spot. We're gonna have another security vestibule right there in the opening with the central office, principal office, nurse, and extra space. Then we have 12 classrooms. It just goes straight down the hallway there with, you know, 2, 4, 6, 8 in a row. Then we have a little break in the middle, which is an exit for everyone to get out to the playground in their own exit. On this side, we'll have a faculty room, more storage in the bathroom. We have a mechanical room here for a new boiler, technology and custodian closet. You have to have those. And then a few more classrooms rounding that out around the side. We did a little bit of sharing here when we looked at this and we said, you know, are we missing anything? We wanted to have a small group area just in case, because that's not part of like the standard. It's all classrooms. So if you have other needs, you still need to have something available for that. So we were able to borrow, right now this is a big custodian closet in the back of Carlton. We were able to take a good, you know, 2/3 of that and make that now available this way so that this part of the building can use that. We still have some storage there, and we're able to add more storage, you know, like here, So we kind of balanced out the square footage for storage by doing that, but we were able to get a nice, plenty big space for what they would need there. So that was kind of one like design quirk that came out towards the end, where we wanted to make sure we had an option there. So during construction, which again, we'll have a pre-construction meeting the first week of January with, we have a construction manager, which will really drive everything forward so that, our resources here and myself don't have to do a whole lot extra than to just carry it forward and support them as they go. But they'll run the meetings and make sure that we're getting on schedule, which we will get a more official schedule now that all of this is gonna be set. But they'll get right into it. They'll start ordering things that take weeks and months to order. They'll need to get all those things in the pipeline and begin work as soon as they can. So part of it though is gonna be, how do we deal with this space during construction? Because you don't want anybody coming back there. So they do set a temporary wall inside here. So they'll be able to go as far as the computer and the art room in Carlton, and that will be now the end line for everybody in that building. So they'll still be able to use those doors to get in those rooms, and subsequently even these off rooms back here, they'll be able to use all of those things still. But this will be completely locked off while they're doing construction. And this room over here, that window becomes a door. It'll be a construction door for the entire time, so that there's still a means of egress out that side. There has to be. So that's what they're gonna have to do, is create, basically that room becomes a hallway for the next year while everything's going on. And it's currently storage, so not a major loss, right? So there's courtyard area in there, totally fine, there's plenty of room. So that's gonna be the construction plan. That's kind of the only major change for everybody in that, as far as that goes. Yeah, so that's.
So where
that's the story.
is there the extra small rooms for like the per person, the coach?
Well, like I said, there's this kind of a miscellaneous office space here for drop-ins.
Because I know that's an issue at like Lafayette for all the extra people.
Yeah, it's gonna depend on how they wanna deploy, since they're gonna be sharing between the two buildings for all of preschool.
But will they not still have to take children every now and then to talk to them, to test them, to?
Right, well, they'll be able to either use that room or one of these office spaces should be available for things like that.
So you're saying every one of these rooms aren't gonna be used?
All the classrooms are gonna be used.
So you're saying there's only 2 spaces for them, small spaces for those other people, like when they have a child they wanna test or something, where will they go?
Pull out resource room?
No, I mean like when they're tested, like say they have like problems and the per person comes and tests them.
Yeah, just like an empty room where they can go and do something.
Right, and child study team tests the kids, they're not gonna take them on the other side of Carlton, they would take them somewhere.
Yeah, I can't speak specifically to that in this. I just know that we have both of those spaces
So there is
available.
these 2 small spaces.
Yeah. Any other questions you guys have?
Yeah, Mr. Charles, have we ever used this building before, DeAndrea?
The district, no, but our professionals have,
Yeah.
and they didn't have any
No problems?
issues with them. They were happy to see them in there.
And when you have an angle now, so the apartments are right down here, and then that's the front street in front of Carlton.
This is Smith over here,
Okay,
right? The apartments and the fence is all
okay,
back
I
there.
got you. And they have separate playgrounds, the older kids and the younger ones?
Well, the older kids don't have any right now, right?
Okay.
So
they're gonna keep
again,
one.
this is kind of the catalyst where we were working on the other one, but once this came into the picture, we had to pause the other one so that we could make sure this was good. We can't mess with this site and get it all ready for this building, or it's too much integrated with the other space. It's right next door. So this is gonna pave the way though for then we just go off of the back of this and develop the playground for them, which.
And that's separate from this project?
It's separate from the project. We're gonna make it as simultaneous as we can when it comes to like implementing it. So my goal is to have that ready for September of 26 also,
So they'll all have a place.
so
to
that
go.
all of it will be open at the same time.
I got a question. Where did you say the parking was gonna be? You said it was
There's
gonna
a
be-
little loop, there's a little loop in the front with 30-ish spaces, and one of the alternate bids is for space in the front. So currently, and this doesn't have the picture of that, but in Carlton, you have that one little parking lot
Yeah.
in the front, That's gonna run straight through now to the other side. So while you have that driveway that goes through and opens to a huge parking lot on the side, there's that whole space of grass that's just gonna be pulled out and turned into some more spots too. Yeah. So some people that, you know, are stationed in this building might wanna park in the back. You know, there's gonna be ways for staff to use their swipe cards and get in and come right through. It's not gonna be like a fair, you know, an inconvenient situation. They're gonna be close to the building at all times.
I know you mentioned it, but where'd you send the bus, where are they gonna come in with the
Bus currently drops off on the street. That should stay the same.
On Smith Avenue?
Yes.
So where will the kids enter?
So, they're gonna
Where's the
be,
door to
I'm gonna say they're probably gonna end up over here, based on the way they currently go through. Cause they do come in this door quite a lot.
Yeah, I think it's like a
So
little
I would imagine that they're coming through here. But again, that's kind of an operational thing that will get worked out when it comes down to choosing those final plans.
Did you say, is there gonna be another multi-purpose room, just for those kids?
No, there is not. They don't, preschool doesn't use that very often anyway.
What, the gym?
Yeah.
They call it. Yeah, they usually, they start
It'll be,
to use it
it's
more.
available. They don't need a cafeteria because they eat in their rooms.
Right.
So that's okay. I'll just show you this one again in case you want to look at it.
So our present preschool children don't use the multipurpose room at?
I'm not saying they
At
don't.
Lafayette? or
I'm not
anything?
saying they don't. You're there every day? Okay. My
So is there gonna
apologies.
be time for them at Carlton with the study?
I'm not talking programmatic choices or what the kids are doing here to there. Just reporting the project. It's up to the principals and the supervisors to run the program. Okay. So, the big picture being that, you know, the district was approved for a grant of about 10.3 million, and this came in under 8.
That's what I was just gonna ask you, is there any extra funding through grants or?
Well, we're up, you know, we have up to 10.3 based on the
Right.
state approval. So it does mean we should be able to, increase some things along the way.
Right.
But
You'll have what,
all of
you'll have 2 million to work with?
it
additional?
probably won't be that much when it comes down to it, but there should be some for us to work with. And again, it's gonna be all towards this, and if we don't
Right.
use it, we don't use it, because,
Right.
you know, 25% of that 10.3 is our money too. So we don't wanna just spend it for the heck of it, but maybe there are a couple other improvements that we can do that weren't drawn initially that we can add
Mr.
on.
Travis, you're saying it was a grant for 10 million?
Right.
Is that a grant through the state or our taxpayers? or
State,
The
the
state.
state
Yeah.
SDA gave that out, so 10.3 is a project, the grant is 7.5.
Okay,
And the district put in 2.6. I had put in an extra 500 just in case,
right.
and we shouldn't need that, so that's good, that'll come back to us. But of the 2.6 we probably won't get to that either. That was our capital reserve that we put in. So that, whatever we don't spend on that, comes back to our capital reserve. So, in preschool, we were talking about this a little bit before, preschool funding is separate from state aid, it's separate from local taxes, and it's based on the number of regular education students that are in the 3 and 4-year-old group. And taking a guesstimate, I see an increase of about 2 million in preschool aid because of the students. 180 students would equal about that much in this department, and it could mean 15 to 25 more jobs because of the building. So we would have to be very aggressive in recruitment again when it comes around to spring of 26, and we wanna line up for September. If we don't have the teachers, we won't be able to open the rooms. So we're gonna have to be on top of that at that point in time.
Do we already know out of the 12 classrooms, which ones will be regular ed opposed to special ed, or we don't know that yet?
So they're all inclusion classrooms, they're all required to have 15 seats maximum, and they're all required to hold 3 for students that are capable of being in the inclusion setting. That don't need, anything that's special education for preschool is on the district. So none of that preschool aid goes towards special education. And that does increase the amount of the district contributing, because there will be more students that are special ed. Because we open the doors, our budget will have to flex with that also. And that would essentially double from where we are now. We might
That
need
goes
it.
into what you were saying about testing the students to see where they're gonna fall within the classroom. But you're saying
Yeah,
they're
when
all,
the child study
but
team
they're all
comes
gonna
and
be
things like
inclusion
that.
no matter what, right?
The ones that are covered by, yes.
Okay.
They're in the classroom. Now, the pavilion that you're talking about, that's not just like a sunshade you take up and down, is that a cover?
Yeah, I think that's on this drawing for the back.
There's an actual cover under there, cause I know like when it's drizzling and all, if they can't use the gym to go when it's raining, they could go out under the pavilion
Right.
if it's not raining too hard. Cause I know the preschool kids, they go out
Yeah.
all the time.
There it is, 36 by 16 maybe? Only 10 undercover?
That structure that's in the center, right?
Right.
But
Yeah,
that's
we have those as part of the other playgrounds now also.
Oh, it's the same thing, so it's not a roof, it's.
There's a roof,
A roof.
yes.
It's something similar to what's out there at Lafayette Pershing?
Okay, so I'm just about the pavilion.
Field Street got the same, theirs is bigger. Any other board questions? Public comment?
Excuse me, how about your new, our new person we're hiring tonight, are we gonna go over that?
I'm gonna talk about that now?
Yeah.
Alright, well,
Well, it's up to, I mean, how do you wanna go about it? I just have one question about it, is, we're gonna,
yeah, it's fine.
you wanna hear it?
Sure.
Yeah,
Always.
the missus who was up for the test, Kimberly Lennox,
Yes.
she also worked, I just think it was a little bit of conflict there, but I wanna hear your stance on it. She also worked with Colleen Kinsella,
She did.
got down to, yeah, I was just wondering how was that a fit for who was actually doing the review? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, essentially, this is a position under me, so, I was setting the team. We are a little short on available people for these types of things, so
Right.
I was going to the best people available.
yeah, I just want,
So Colleen was chosen, you know, she's an impartial person in my view, and
I guess it's on, I think,
she's fair.
not what we get.
She worked with Kim for a little while, it was not that long, but, no, I mean, it's all professional people working in different districts, it does happen, that you end up bouncing around and back with other people you worked before, so.
Did Mrs. Concealer request her or refer her? Or?
She did have a letter on the application, she did.
well, she's qualified for the job.
She's very
It's,
qualified.
I just thought it was odd, I mean, it could've been anybody else you could've put on, chosen, but that's who you chose, just raise a food flag, that's all.
When we get to that, I just wanna open up for public discussion. Thank you, Ms. Dickens. Thank you. So if anybody wish to speak, I'll just ask that you sign into my right, your left, and just take the 3-minute, length of time that you have to speak, whichever is on our agenda for tonight.
Hi, Amy Tighe, president of the association, a taxpayer, an employee. I was just wondering, was there any reviews? When I looked up the review of the construction company and it being a business, there wasn't no reviews, and they weren't in the Better Business Bureau. So I thought that was quite strange, and there's been a couple of court cases against them. So I was wondering, has there been any investigations on before we hire them? And my second thing is, hiring people is a very difficult job. I don't see where that person's being hired in the minutes here for the agenda. But knowing that an administrator recommends somebody for a position does put red flags up for me. Ms. Kinsella was the superintendent in Lower Alloway and was non-renewed. And there was concerns about that. There's been concerns with my members also lately with their FMLA. So that does put red flags up for me as the president. I want the best for us, so I do have concerns with somebody being hired with recommendations with an administrator already, a supervisor already here. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Hello, my name is Debbie Richardson, some of y'all know me. But, I'm looking at this proposal. Isn't there, any other way that we could have done this rather than put it in Fields, at Carlton School? Is it for pre-K, or it's just a matter of the best fit in town? Because me, a layman's looking at it, I don't understand why you would put pre-K in over at Carlton. None of the other buildings work, or none of the land's big enough to do it, or, you know, I'm just asking, because I don't, just looking at the information I was afforded, I'm asking the questions because I wasn't afforded that information, and I must have missed all that being given.
I'll answer. I mean, we haven't talked about that in a while, but back when we were making the plans, we started with an open book, like what's the best thing. We looked at LP, there's no land, right? So LP was crossed off, and it was just a matter of Carlton or Field Street, or perhaps our open space back here. But to get it in the flow of everything, Field Street has already got three grade levels there, and that neighborhood gets a bit busy with traffic and all of that. So it really ended up making the most sense to go here. So those were the places we looked at, but it was really Field Street or there in the end, and it was too much to ask for the neighborhood over there to say, you know, have another.
The adjustment or movement of the lower grades around would make more sense than to put the preschool.
Well, we need more classrooms, right? So so the grant money was specifically given to anybody who could add classroom space for preschool. So if we said that we wanted to build classes for third grade, we don't get any money. But we had to give them a plan for preschool additions. So that's what got us the grant. It doesn't necessarily determine what the future will be as far as grade levels in which buildings. But for now, that was the best way to get those students into our classrooms as quick as possible. It's 180 students. It's going to be a big boost to the district as far as student count. So.
Okay. And with the increase of autistic and special needs kids, what is provided by this building for them? Is there space for them? Is there any new technology for them there, or?
Technology shouldn't be a problem for any of them.
It
Space.
is over Lafayette Burton.
Please make that known, you know, elsewhere for us to work on.
Okay.
But
No problem.
yeah, I can't speak too much to the real programmatic way of handling those students in certain situations. So, like I said, we try to create enough space to do alternate things if necessary. If we have to share with some of Carlton's space, if that becomes an issue, I imagine that's going to be worked out with the principals and supervisors. So.
Okay, so you did that design with nobody with
No, they were all involved. Once we had the plan, we adjusted it a few times after conversations with all those people.
Okay. Thank you. All right, anybody else? Can I get a motion to close? Thank you, Ms. Baker. Thank you. So it's just one, finance and facilities? It's just one, right?
That's it, but we have the whole thing on the one.
I mean, did you read it?
I make that motion on finance and facilities.
Thank you, Ms. Baker. Thank you. Yep. Any questions on finance and facilities? All right, roll call, please.
Okay, Ms. Alstock,
Yes.
Mr. Ashcraft,
Yes.
Ms. Raisin,
Yes.
Mr. Simmons,
Yes.
Ms. M. Smith,
Yes.
Ms. E. Smith,
Yeah.
Mr. Stefanski,
Yes.
Mr. Tighe,
Yes.
Ms. Turner.
Yes. All right, so we have to,
And we have an addendum.
Yep, the addendum for personnel.
Everybody has the addendum and has been able to look at that.
Yep, for the motion to approve, Kimberly minutes.
Need a motion on that?
Yes, please.
I make that motion.
Thank you, Ms. Vicky. Thank you, Ms. Smith. Any, other questions on the agenda? Roll call, please.
Ms. Alstock,
No.
Mr. Ashcraft,
Yes.
Ms. Raisin,
Yes.
Mr. Simmons,
No.
Ms. M. Smith,
Yes.
Ms. V. Smith,
Yeah.
Mr. Stefanski,
No.
Mr. Tighe,
No.
Ms. Turner.
Yes.
Passes 5-4.
Alright, and then, anything else, any new business? Do we have any new business? At all?
Yeah, I'd like to give a shout out to Ms. Heather Moore for the Honor Society. She did a real good time with Santa, with the breakfast. It was a good turnout.
I heard that was nice. I did hear that was nice. There was a lot going on that day, but
Yeah,
it
that
was
was
nice.
nice.
I think it's kind of new business, so it's an idea. With the questions for the last few board meetings, we've been presented by the public. I wanted to know, could we, as a board, do something like a subcommittee? Is that something that would have to be voted on as a board next meeting? 3 to 4 people to maybe sit down with the superintendent once she's back and review some of those questions, not as a full board, but as a subcommittee, which I would spearhead to look at with 2 or 3 other members to start looking at those questions.
And the board is allowed to create subcommittees as needed.
Okay.
Yeah, they just gotta have a conversation with Dr. Boozy.
They weren't here at the last meeting, they didn't know those questions were.
Right.
Right, okay.
That's.
Okay.
Remember, Dr. Maitland supposedly created some answers
She did,
along with Secretary.
yes.
So there were
And
Some
were they
things were
given-
answered.
They were passed down to the people that asked questions.
I don't know that they've been given, I don't know.
And will we get, as a board member, will we get a copy of that?
We were supposed to get the questions at the end of the meeting. But,
We got a new pack at the end of
this
it.
is what I have to ask. I was gonna wait till the first, for January,
Did they not
first
get it?
meeting of the year, to all the board members here. I can't see why we can't, and I looked into it extensively, and as being as the board, we can take directive from the superintendent and from the solicitor, but as board members, we have the right to vote, hands down or hands up, open session, closed session. We have the right to have the interpretation of the public back and forth, not with the 3-minute guideline, but the way it's set up right now, it's nothing but confusion. I appreciate what Nick's trying to say by having a subcommittee. There's stuff, cause I've been to 2 other, board meetings of different townships, where if if the president can't answer their question in full, and if somebody has a little more knowledge on it, it's open to the public, they can converse back and forth. I've been there, why are you saying no, Mrs. Raisin?
Because you can't.
She
Why,
don't
you
know.
can't, if we vote,
If someone comes and asks a question, we're not familiar with the question, who?
no, I'm saying
You
if,
can't say you're gonna give the answer.
no, I'm saying if we are, if Madam President couldn't answer the question, right? And I've seen it, if you went to, have you been in any other
I
board
have
meetings?
been to about 5 or 6 centers.
Alright, board members, other board members are allowed to converse back and forth. If the Madam President, but we gotta vote on it, we don't take it on it, alright, that's what I'm saying, I'm putting it out there. But if you don't wanna vote on it, fine, but I'm sick and tired of every month, people coming up and getting like, they're looking at us like we're a bunch of, and I know this is what we agreed on, now it's to the point where, the questions aren't even getting answered after the meetings.
Well, the meetings that I went to.
Here or elsewhere?
In districts, other districts, the board members wasn't even allowed to speak. The only one who was allowed to speak was the president, the solicitor, and,
I can read them their bylaws. The president has the right to give
we
the
were
floor
not allowed
to
to
a
speak. The only time
superintendent.
we were supposed to speak was behind the
That's
door.
what their bylaws say.
And then when we came out here, we supposed to come as a unity, one.
Can we open
Right.
the
Not
conversation?
each person answering a question,
Alright.
that wouldn't
I see
work.
what you're saying.
I'll get you more information on it.
Well, the idea, what I was trying to say was with a subcommittee, if a subcommittee were to be of 3 or 4 people that would meet prior to a current board meeting, so for example, obviously, with it being Christmas coming up and then January 6th, there would be no way for a subcommittee, because I don't know if we need to vote on that. I'm not sure, the lawyer's not here, I don't know.
You would set it, but I would say since it's reorg, you wait till after
Reorganization, right?
Even though
But
there's
the
no
idea,
change.
but the idea that I thought of was if a
I
subcommittee
really wish I
met
could say
prior to
something
a board
because she
meeting,
just said
they
something
could
that's
bring
so
their
false.
findings to the president, and then the president can address the public on what those findings were.
Right. I see what you're saying.
I agree with that.
I mean, that's,
That
like I said, we
way,
have to have that conversation
Can I raise my hand?
with Dr. Cobian, and then we can try to see if we can do a sub, and then we take it from there.
right,
I don't see that being a bad idea at all,
right, and I
to get
think,
things moving and.
right, and I think it informs everybody,
Oh, yeah.
but there's a subcommittee, just like there's a few of us on negotiations, that's a subcommittee. But if there was a subcommittee to look at concerns
Yeah.
and to speak to the administrators of the district, Dr. Cobian, Ms. Maitland, whoever, because they're gonna be the ones that give us the answers.
Right.
But then we can bring those answers to you and the board and present it to the public. Is how I'm looking at
Yeah.
it. Is how I would like to see if it can be done. I would like it to be done, if possible.
We have to see, yeah.
I just don't know if that needs to be a
Oh,
vote.
we can write that down.
You don't have to vote on committees.
Okay.
There's- The president would assign committees.
Okay,
But
okay.
obviously you can volunteer and work it out amongst yourself.
So, in other words, from prior meeting to prior meeting, monthly meeting, they would have questions, and you would have formed the committee, we would get answers to these, and when would the Madam President answer the following month?
So, I mean, if
Yeah, for the
there's,
following meeting.
right, so if there's a total of, let's say, 25 questions, obviously, we're not gonna answer all 25 in one meeting.
Right.
We pick 3 or 4, and we try to answer it as best as we can, and we give feedback to the public. So what you said, so we don't kinda look like we
Right.
sit up here and just stare at everybody,
Right.
okay? That's just my proposal.
That sounds good.
So if we can look at that January 6th,
Yeah.
and maybe make a committee, subcommittee, if anybody's interested, I
So that's,
welcome you to join.
so that's new
Right.
business. Any other new business? Any old business?
I guess more so a comment than anything else. I would like to say, just to make sure I understand it correctly before I start saying something, because I don't wanna speak about an issue that doesn't actually exist. So with the, lady that we had just hired for, the school accountant. So it had been that Miss Concelia was one of her references or referenced her?
Yes, she did list her as a reference.
Okay, going forward, can we make it so that the people who are somebody's references are not on the interviewing committees for them? Or they don't have the authority to make the hiring decision over that? Just because, and I'm not insinuating anything at all, it doesn't apply it wouldn't have to apply to Ms. Concelia or any other given member of the district, but like if you know you're hiring someone that you're familiar with, and then somebody else is applying for the position, even like unconsciously, you could give them a lower score compared to the person that you know, and then that kind of like skews the results we're getting. Again, I'm not implying anything at all about Miss Concelia or her character. I don't know her personally enough to make any of those judgments, not that they really matter in this
Well,
instance. But like, for any committee, this would be an issue. Like, except, I guess unless they're an already in-district hire, that would be like the only exception, is if they already work in district, because, well, of course you know them, they're your coworker.
Are we privy to see like how they scored the
I can share this with you later. I mean, it's dramatic as far as between 1 and 2 in this case. And I can't remember off the top of my head, I don't know that she even had her higher than the other committee members. Came down to the scoring, cause, you know, even though we have a rubric, which is really excellent, there's a little bit of subjectivity to the way you score that stuff out, so.
Just cause this is obviously an improvement over like the old system where it was just like people
Right.
hiring people, but
Yeah.
you know, any improvement can be improved even further.
Right.
And that's the end of my comment.
Fair enough.
Thank you. Alright, anything else? Alright, can I get a motion to close? Thank you, Ms. Hill.
Second,
All those
I'll give
first-
Ms. Smith that one.
All in favor?
All in favor?